Hello, in this video, this is part 3 for quadratic function. So I'm going to talk about this type of quadratic graph. So for example, we can go one by one. For example, this question A, question B, and question C. We have two parts. Okay, I want to see the difference between these two. So x minus 1 square. If you have x minus 1 square, so the graph will be looking at this, looking like this way. So the x and the y here, if you have x minus 1 square, very simple. So you're going to know that intercept x, right? So this graph will only intercept x at 1, this type of graph. So when you intercept x, the y value to be 0, right? The y value is 0 means your x-intercept. Your x-intercept, pintasan x. So if you x-intercept, the y will be 0. So your y is represented by fx. So you have x minus 1 square equals to 0, and you get the value of x equals to 1. So without calculate, you know, only x is 1, but causing y to be 0. So it means at 1 here, there is a intercept here. So the graph x square, it will be open upwards, right? And touch the 1 at 1. So they will intercept y at, intercept y means x equals to 0. X equals to 0, so you have 1 here, negative 1 square. So this is a graph. So very simple actually. So once you see x minus 1 square, the graph x minus 1 square by property of quadratic is always at least 0. Anything square, x plus 2 square, anything inside here, once you square, it will be at least 0. The y value will be at least 0. This is your y, right? This is your y. So this is at least 0, y also at least 0. So means the y value will be at least 0 and above. Okay, so now, so from here you know that your domain, okay, domain will be always negative infinity to infinity for quadratic. So, and for range, it will be 0 up to infinity. 0 to infinity, close, include 0, right? Include 0 up to infinity. So, what happened when I add a 1 here, right? Now I'm talking about this, okay? This one. It's the same thing, but how about if I plus 1 here? You have to know. Okay. So you have 0 and x. The graph will be, the shape will still be the same, right? Passing through 1, open upwards is for x minus 1 square. So if you plus 1, means that this one, everything here, the value of y was shifting 1 unit above. So means from 0, the 1 will be reached 1 here. And for the 1 here, you add by 1, it will become 2. So it will go up by 1. Alright? You see, they will shift up by 1 unit. From 0, it will become 0, here become 1. From 1 here, it will become 2, the intercept. So they go up. So it means the range, the domain will not affect. The domain was always negative infinity to infinity. For quadratic function, okay, for a quadratic function that the domain is not restrict, the question never restrict for you, the domain is always negative infinity to infinity. Everywhere there is a graph. But the range is the one that you must be consider. So the range now will be, they're starting from 1, right? Starting from 1. There are no graph below here, right? So it's starting from 1. Go to infinity. From 1, the graph will keep drawing, go up, okay? But the minimum is 1. So include the 1 and up to infinity. Alright? Graphical approach. Algebraic approach. Algebraic approach. Pendekatan algebra. Without the graph, if some student very good, without the graph, they can see the range. How is it? They know that x minus 1 square is at least 0. Right, at least 0. So you see there is a plus 1 here, right? So you go and plus with 1. You plus with 1. So this one also you plus 1, right? Both sides have to be plus 1. So this is your y, right? This is your y, right? So your y will be at least 1, right? So that's why you see the range. The range refer to y is at least 1 to infinity. So this is the way you draw the graph for this type of function. This is called a complete form. Okay, complete form for a quadratic function. So okay, let's look at this one. Okay, let's look at this one. there is fx equals to negative, okay, I draw a line here. So you see, this is fx equals to negative 1 over 2 x plus 2 square, right? X plus 2 square. So it doesn't matter, but there is a negative here. Can you see that? There is a negative here. So if negative, the graph will be open downwards. Open downwards. So as simple as that. So then now you are sketching the graph y and x. So first you find the x-intercept. So I teach you the shortcut here will be, what we're making y equals to 0? Intercept x means y equals to 0. What we're making y equals to 0? There is only when x is negative 2, because negative 2 plus 2 is 0, right? So it means negative 2 for sure is your x-intercept. So as you know that the graph will be open downwards, right? Because of the negative here. So the graph will be moving this way. This is the graph. So there will be open downwards and touch at x equals to negative 2. So intercept y-axis, intercept y, x0, intercept x, y0, intercept y, x0. So when x0, you calculate, when x0, what happened? So negative 1 over 2, 0 plus 2 square, you are getting 4. So you will get negative 2 here, negative 2 here. Alright, so from this graph, you can read the domain also. The domain will be always the same, negative infinity to infinity for quadratic. And the range is the one that you should consider. So for this case, the maximum value of y will be 0, right? Means 0, include 0, maximum at 0. And from the bottom up to negative infinity up to 0, right? So algebraic approach, you can try. So for this case, it's the same thing. This graph and this graph, they have the same shape. Because of the minus 2 here, you look at the graph, what happened to the graph, right? You have to consider what happened when there is a negative 2 here. So the graph supposed to be at this, touching at the x, this one, negative 2, 0. But now because of the minus 2 here, the graph is shifting negative 2 below, 2 unit below. So means that from negative 2 is still at the same axis of symmetry, but now moving downwards this point. So moving downwards to negative 2 means you go down by negative 2, negative 1, negative 2. So now the maximum point here will reaching here. And the y-intercept also, you go down by negative 2, right? So you were reaching negative 4. So the graph is the shape is the same, but the location here, right? The location here will be going down by 2 units, okay? Every graph here, every value of y on the graph will be moving down by 2 units. All right, so this, of course, the domain will be still the same, right? The domain will still be the same, but the range will be no longer 0, because you see now, it will be maximum at negative 2, not at 0. So it means you have to convert this to negative 2 and negative infinity to negative 2. So look at the difference between these two, right? What will it happen? What will affect the range of the quadratic function? So okay, you see how I sketch this. You can pause the video and try to sketch this graph. All right. So okay, I sketch for you now. Okay, you have x and y, right? X and y. So okay, you want to find the x-intercept. You know this type of graph that you are already in the complete square form. So it will be in the graph will be touching the x-axis. So now if you intercept the x-axis, y will be 0, right? What will be causing y 0? Of course, the 2x plus 1 must be equals to 0. So x will be negative 1 over 2. So negative 1 over 2, right? Because of the positive here, the graph open upwards, right? Open upwards. So okay, I have to sketch an open upwards. Okay, open upwards, intercept y, x0. X0, this will be 0. 3 times 1, 3. Alright, this will be your graph. So again, the domain will be negative infinity to infinity. The range that you should consider will be minimum. Open upwards, you have minimum. Open downwards, you have maximum. So this is from from 0, close, include 0, the y value up to infinity. Alright? Okay. Same thing for the graph here. Let's say you have plus 4. What happened when you plus 4? So plus 4 x, of course the axis of symmetry will be still the same. Okay, it was still at negative 1/2, but the graph no longer touching the x-axis, right? Because it's moving upwards by 4 units. So means from 0 it will go up to 4. From 0 it will go up to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It will be go up. This point will moving up 4 units above, and of course the y-intercept also will moving 4 units above. Okay, 4 plus 3 plus 4, you have 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. So the graph will be this way. It will go up by 4 units. So of course the domain will be still the same. It's from negative infinity up to infinity, but the range will be just now minimum 0 to infinity. Now the minimum will be 4, right? There are no value here. It's start the y value start from 4. So include the 4 up to infinity. Alright? So this is the part 3. Alright? Quadratic function graphing for part 3. Okay, we will have 2 more. We have part 4 and part 5. So hope you follow all the videos, then you will very understand about the graph or quadratic function.